The news that everybody wanted is finally here. What's up guys, Pop 101 here, and today I'm going to be taking you through all the little bits and details of the road to 1.0 or the full release of Blade and Sorcery. So let's get started. One very important thing I want to start off with is that Blade and Sorcery is no longer just a sandbox wave fighter. Now we actually have a purpose to it. The Crystal Hunt or progression mode. Now, I'm not going to be going through all of this, but for those of you that want to read, this is the story of the Dalgarian dungeon and everything behind it. All the bits, all the details, all the lore. Yeah, it's actually a storyline, which is absolutely incredible. And as we keep going, there's obviously all these images from the dungeon that are going to be released. And one very cool thing, if you guys notice from this GIF right here, we actually have a cipher. Oh, and I think this is cool. Trine 2. It's a lovely series, so if you guys haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend doing it. But being able to cipher and code in Blade and Sorcery, that's actually pretty cool. Definitely not something I would have expected. And for those of you that are wondering, it is very similar to the Outpost, but it's a bit different. So we have an entirely new dungeon biome, new sets of rooms, and aside from these images right here showing you some little pieces of it, right now there are about 40 different rooms compared to the Outpost 60. While yeah, that's not as many, there's obviously going to be more made, but the big difference is, if we take a look, I'm actually going to zoom in for you guys, this is just one of the rooms. It's absolutely massive and it is absolutely stunning too. So I am definitely looking forward to this. The textures and everything really pushes Blade and Sorcery and VR to the limits. And of course, there's a bunch of other cool things about it too. For one, in Crystal Hunt, it's different than Sandbox, because Sandbox you have everything with the maps, weapons, armors, cheats, all the mods. One cool thing about the Crystal Hunt mode though is that you do have an option to use your mods in it. So for those of you that are like me and want to try it after you've already beaten it normally, that's the way to go. But everything about the normal Crystal Hunt is right here. So we start off stripped of everything, no magic or weapons, basically nothing. And for everybody that has been curious about whether there's going to be actual crystals, take a look. So we use these shards, these crystal shards, to unlock new skills from our skill tree. And they give us access to magic and other skills and unlockables. Some cool things that we can do are even merge them to unlock more powerful tiers. I mean, come on, that is cool. It's kind of like the fire merge, but between the crystals, and it looks a lot more powerful too. And for everybody that's been wondering what this little doohickey is right here, yes, that's where we put our shards. And obviously the more shards we have, the more skills we have, the more we progress, the better we get. And one thing that is extremely important, it's not just going to be a bunch of plus 10 health or plus 10 speed or anything like that. Just take a look right here. It's literally a flamethrower from this new staff. Now, one thing I do want to let you guys know is that 37 new weapons are being added to Blade and Sorcery. That's right, 37 weapons being added in different tiers, but I'll get to that in just a minute. So some cool things that you can do, merging, you can light enemies on fire now, you can have fireballs that actually bounce off. Notice that it bounces off the ground and it bounces off the wall twice. And if we keep scrolling down, check out this. So it's not a merge, but it's a spell combination of using gravity and lightning to electrocute and turn off gravity for these enemies, which I gotta say is incredibly cool. The best part about it is that if we were to use the normal sandbox player, that only makes approximately 20% of the skill tree. That means that instead of them making this a plus 5, plus 10 health, they worked so diligently on making it so that there's new spells and abilities for us to use. But if spells isn't your way, there are different builds as well. So for example, obviously your melee one, and this looks like a dash ability, which lets you punch directly into an enemy. Very, very cool. And it's nice that it's not just going to be mods that allow you to do this, that the base game can allow it as well. One really cool thing is that obviously the Crystal Hunt will allow you to gather loot, and there's loot in dungeons which can be sold to buy weapons, armor, and things along that. And instead of gamifying this, notice we will actually have a shop where we go and purchase these items. And there's no UI. It's not just loot and it's not containers. We'll actually have to go over to the shop, just like this guy right here. And any item we want, we're going to have to put it on the shelf right here, and then the items will get purchased. Because obviously they hate the UIs and gamey elements and don't want that to be a major part of how these work. And of course, Crystal Hunt is very cool, but now we're getting some new armors. Look at these. These are stunning. Definitely a combination of the Knight and the Mage that we saw before, a more roguelike armor. And if we continue scrolling down, a couple of new weapons in here. And then here we are. So we already have 38 weapons in vanilla. There are now 37 weapons being added, a total of 75 for Blade and Sorcery, the full release. Oh wow, check this guy out. That is really, really cool. Looks like we have a nice long handle, and I'm assuming this is one of the higher tiered weapons. Because what they're trying to do is make it so you can play the game with a dagger and you can beat the Crystal Hunt that way. But the higher tiers you get, the more additions you'll have for your weapons, whether that's a longer handle, longer blade, things along that nature. And one cool thing which I didn't even think about is reworking the ruins, because let's be honest, nobody used the ruins map. It was terrible in the way that it was. Now, just taking a little peek at this, I'm really excited for how it's going to be. And hopefully it has better performance than the Citadel, because I gotta be honest with you, it looks pretty similar at the moment. So we will see. And as we keep going down, now the enemies will be more faction based instead of just knights, mages, rogues, things like that. And it seems like we're getting new equipment as well, because that looks like a new band over the head, which is very, very cool. There's some quality of life changes, new UIs, things like that. One of the biggest thing is an uninstall all button, so especially for those of you that love playing on Nomad, or that's the only one that you can play on, you can now install all of your mods, like this one guy that had 147 mods installed. Definitely a game changer for those of you. And so we no longer need to add a mod to let you be able to use quivers from your hips. There's official hip quivers now. Very, very cool. But of course, more surprises. We go down. Obviously, they don't know when it's going to be released. They say Q1 of 2024. I'm guessing it'll probably be Q2, just because there is so much that they still need to do. And this is an example of one of the bugs that they have been dealing with. But again, don't pressure them. And that is it for everything that is in Blade and Sorcery 1.0. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is just a little taste. I'm sure when it actually comes out, there's going to be a heck of a lot more. And hopefully with this, there will be more modders coming back and joining the modding teams, because at the moment, there aren't a lot of modders still modding Blade and Sorcery. Even I took a little bit of a break, although I started working on Trials of the Shinobi again. So I'm super excited to be making that and being able to upload it for U 12.3 and then 1.0 when it comes out. But that is it. If you guys like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. Thanks for watching.